Hey everybody, it's been a little while since I've had any updates on this case, but here we go. I'm talking about the Skeptic Feminist trial with the defendant Aleksandr Kolpakov, aka Russian Deadpool, and him being found guilty of assault with a deadly weapon and manslaughter, which resulted in the tragic death of Heather Annable. And on February 13th, 2025, the appeal that Aleksandr Kolpakov had about his sentence was denied. And I will link in the description box a news article about it, and also the direct source of the document from the Colorado Court of Appeals, so that you can see for yourself. And if you don't want to listen to me yap and have an opinion about this, then get it right from the horse's mouth. It's in the description box. But here's my thoughts on the matter. In my previous coverage of this case, I already thought that there was a bit of a miscarriage of justice because of the way that Aleksandr was under the influence of psychedelic mushrooms when he shot and killed his girlfriend. Particularly, I was there when the testimony was given pre-trial from the neighbor who was on the stand, and that neighbor said that when Aleksandr came over naked 3 hours before the shooting, that he got on the phone with someone who we know is that particular girlfriend that he had in Australia, in addition to his girlfriend that he had in Colorado. And while on the phone with that girlfriend, he said that she poisoned me. That was the neighbor who said this. And this neighbor said that he'd never seen him before, and he just showed up and went into his apartment naked. And so we know that there was something wrong with his mindset, and we know that he said he was poisoned. And at that point, Heather was able to get his pet rat and bring it over to the apartment and calm him down and get him to go back to his own apartment. 3 hours later, she's dead, right? None of these facts were really considered when the plea deal was accepted. And I have to feel that, like, Heather's family being, in the area and showing up to every one of the same court hearings that I did, they had an effect of putting their thumb on the scale of justice, where the DA was, not really even looking at things from Aleksandr's point of view, or, in his mind, justice would be justice for the family, right? So, this plea deal gets given to Aleksandr, and the range in it was like 16 to 44 years. And you think about the mindset of somebody who has been using a lot of drugs, which I'm a licensed addiction counselor. I know this. When they hear 16 to 44 years, they're thinking it's going to be 16. The mind of an addict is just going to hear 16 and not the possibility of the 44. That's never going to happen, right? They never like to feel the consequences of their actions. And so he was probably thinking that it was going to be towards the lower end of that. And it was not. It was 40 out of the 44 that he was sentenced to. And in the appeal, which, again, linked in the description box, he's made the argument that Colorado law says that if the facts of two separate charges are identical, then you get to serve concurrently those sentences, not consecutively. And what they say is that as part of the plea deal, you lose your right to that protection under Colorado law. If you're found guilty in a trial or by a judge, then you get that protection. But if you take a plea deal, then you don't. And where this leaves me in my being upset that, in my opinion, Heather had just as much culpability in her own death as, say, when a bartender overserves someone and that person goes out and has a DUI, they crash into some other family and kill them. The bartender has some culpability in it. I feel like Heather had some culpability in her own death by giving Aleksandr those mushrooms. And we're never going to know the exact extent to like how much she did not tell him what the mushrooms were or whatnot. But I do feel like there was evidence stated by the neighbor in the pre-trial hearings that would lend itself to that. And in the appeal, Aleksandr also argued that he had ineffective counsel, which is a very, very common thing in appeals. I've been following cases for a long time. This is kind of my shtick. It's very common to state that, but after one of those hearings, and I have a recording of this, like, because I had my camera equipment and everything. I was making videos outside the courthouse. I have a recording of me stating to the lawyer that I felt like he had a good case, that that maybe he was not responsible because he was given the mushrooms because what the neighbor said. But the lawyer, in that recording, you could hear it, he says, interesting, because he didn't believe that there was a good case to be litigated there. And he's a lawyer and I'm not, but that would have been the point where you try to litigate that, because just like the whole concurrent or consecutive thing that Aleksandr lost the ability to argue when he took the plea deal, and this appeal linked in the description spells that out. He also loses the ability to enter in all of these facts that were coming up in these pretrial hearings, right? I reported on these things as they happened, but he can't say, oh, well, I wasn't in my right mind because of these mushrooms that were given to me. And throughout this, he's also he's not been wanting to put any of the blame on Heather, which is a choice, probably he feels the honorable one, but he doesn't put any of the blame on Heather when he's trying to make these appeals. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because the facts of the case don't matter after you accept a plea deal, which is what the decision of the Court of Appeals say. Like, it's... So he's stuck with the 40 years. I don't see another avenue for appeal, but he has all the time in the world to cook up another one, and his is not the only case that I'm following like this, but his is pretty much sewn up by the details of what he pled to, and all of the legalese that they put into his plea deal pretty much precludes him from having any good arguments. So we'll see if he decides to appeal again, or try to appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court. But so far, the Court of Appeals, they came out with their decision. And as far as when he's eligible for parole, his next parole hearing date is January 2042. Which, if you're doing the math, is not 40 years from now. It'd be like if he had nothing but good time, which subtracted from his behind prison bar sentence, and then made him eligible for serving the rest of that sentence as a parole tail. They're going to start talking about that in 2042, which is about 25 years of the sentence. So I'll just put a link to where you can do the search on that as well in the description, so that you can see all of that. That's the update. I don't know that we'll be hearing any more updates for years to come.